and welcome to Model Kit Stuff, and welcome to my second small scale group build update. Here we are. This is where we've got to currently. I'm going to take you through that in a moment, but before we do that, here's some photos and video of me getting to this point since the last time you saw it.
Okay, so we are now at the part of the build where I am doing top coat on the bodywork, and actually what you're seeing here is undercoat at the moment. You can also see that I have painted the interior main parts as well, so we've got the door linings and the seats and the dash there. I found a really great set of pictures of a period vehicle that had the same exterior paintwork that I'm doing. It was the Roadster version rather than the four-door saloon, but the interior was that leather brown, so perfect. So it's Humbrol 62 leather for the interior, and the satin 71 is the sort of creamy colour, and then I'm using Humbrol 174 for the red, which seems a really close match, so I'm really happy with the colours. So I have brush painted all of my interior parts with Humbrol's matte 62, which is real leather colour, and I actually really like this colour, always have done. It's a long-standing Humbrol colour, but it looks a little bit too neat and tidy. So what I want to do is just give it a little bit of a wash to bring out some of that texture a little bit. It'll bring out some shadow on the dashboard before we put any of the details on the door cards and things like that. So I'm just going to use Tamiya's brown panel accent colour, which I think complements the matte 62 really, really well. So we just need to get some of this and spot it into a palette, because the brushes in these bottles are just way too big for this job. So actually what we'll do is we'll put it in a little metal palette, and then anything not used can get poured back in. So the process is simple. This is oil based, so it can go on top of my acrylic paint without any problems whatsoever. I'm not thinning this or anything like that, we're just going to use it neat. And we'll start with these door pockets. And what I'm doing is I'm just going where we've got some detail that we want to bring out. So we're going to start along that line there. Moved on to the car seats now, and what I'm doing, obviously I'm running a little bit into these grooves here, and then I'm just feathering the very bottom to give it an impression of the top of the seat being a little bit worn, and the same at the back.
And when you do it at the back, you need to sort of create a crescent shape with it. So I'm just dabbing it on, as you can see, and that's going to hopefully emulate a little bit of collected dirt where someone sitting down isn't rubbing it off. You can see that. It will be, when it's dry, very subtle. Here's the other one that I did a moment ago. And you can see it is very subtle. And if not, you can just take it off. Right, so this one here is the top one. So we can do the same with this bottom edge. Let's just make that a little dirtier. So that's the lines done, and then we'll just do a thicker wash along the bottom, and I don't want that to be even particularly. And then we'll just dab the very edge. Like so. I think the top will get quite a bit of rubbing. It's the bit that's going to get cleaned, if anything. We might put a bit of dust on there. Maybe a little bit of weathering powder to emulate dust. Don't know. Just a thought. You know, these parcel shells and things, how clean are they really? In the real world, I don't think they are that much. Now this is the base of the little seats. And we're basically going to do exactly the same as we've done with the upright portion of the seat. We'll give the seats a satin varnish. That way they'll contrast with the gloss of the paintwork on the inside of the cabin, especially just underneath the seats there. And where the seats are mounted, it's sort of the car body colour. And then we'll have a brown, darker brown carpet in there, which will be matte. So that should look alright then. Okay, and then lastly we've got this top one to do. So our dashboard does not come with decals for the dials, so we're going to have to paint those in. It's been a little while since I painted a dashboard, but my process when we come to do that is to use a cocktail stick or a toothpick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to further thin down the point using this knife so that I have the tiniest tip, which will allow me to put extremely small amounts of paint down, because what we will do is paint the dial, and then which is the raised detail, and then flood it with the white, which is the background, and that should work. And then we'll go around it and do all the chrome bits and the knobs on this. On a lot of the refurbished versions you see they're sort of chromed knobs, but on the original, like white melamine type material. So want to recreate that. So now got a sufficient tip on that to do the job, I think. Perhaps a little bit wide yet on this side. Okay, so let's get some black paint out. So I'm using unthinned model colour for painting the black on the dials. That's the black bit done. Next will be the white. Then before the paint dries, we can just go back in and wipe off the white paint. There we go. So I've just painted the dowels in using end of a cocktail stick just to get some white paint in. There's no decals with these dials. When that's dried, we'll have a go at putting the hands on. Now there are some components on here that are white, some that are like a chrome colour, and some which are chrome bezels with a white switch. And realistically, we're not going to manage that. So whilst I've got some white paint out, I am going to do the white switches, however. Actually, these are little pull-out stoppers with a white head, but the rest of it's chrome, so I might go and paint those chrome and then come back and put a white dot on the top. So I'm going to use a Posca paint pen for putting my chrome on the dashboard. So let's do that. Just going to check it's flowing. Yeah. A little bit of touch up needed now. It's not perfect, but it's looking like a dashboard at least. A little bit of touch up. Okay, dashboard is coming together. I've still got a little bit of touch up on the brown to do. That's probably the last thing I'm going to do. My next job is to put the lenses in the dials now that we've painted them in. And the transparent parts that they've given us, well, they're not very transparent, as you can see. They're a bit foggy. bit milky. So little tip when you've got a glass part that's like that, and you want it to be really, really clear, perfectly clear, is to give it a little coat with Humbrol clear varnish. This product here, let's get that into view for you for a sec. Humbrol clear varnish, and that will, same with aircraft canopies or anything like that, if you just give it a little dip or a little coat, it will make it become really clear. So put that on, and you can see already it's starting to look a lot clearer, and when that dries, it's absolutely crystal clear. I'm just going to give it a second coat. Just make sure we've given it a good covering. And we'll let that dry. You can see the shine on it already. Perfect. Okay, so my door cards, I'm going to give them a clear coat now. So I'm using satin coat, I think, for the little pockets, and we're going to use matte coat for everything else. No, sorry, I think we're going to do it the other way around. I think we're going to do the centre bit matte and the outside satin. You can see that I've just given these a little bit of a dry brush just to highlight them. So I just put a small dab of white in with the brown leather mix, and then dry brush the raised detail, and that's really brought those out now, washed and dry brushed. I'm quite happy with those. So we're just going to coat these up, and the other ones can be coated as well at the same time. Okay, we will let that dry before we put the satin on the rest of the door card. So, as you can see, we have just put the top coat on. It's Humbrol 174 that we've used, and it's gone down really well. You can also see that I've got some areas masked off. That's where that creamy colour has already been painted. So we're just waiting for that to dry. So all the plastic was given a rub down first. You can see how well the bonnet tops have come out. So we'll just let that dry and harden, and then we will take the masking off. Just make sure that we've got no bleed and get it all corrected, and then we're ready to varnish. So yeah, exciting stuff. Happy with that. Very, very happy with that. So where are we up to? All of the parts that need to go into this version of the model, because there's lots of different versions, taxis, post vans, that sort of stuff. But the stuff that goes in this version has all now been pretty much cleaned up, ready for either further paint or assembly. You can see that the main car body colours are done, and we've done the interior seats, dashboard and the door cards, and that's just to allow us to get the main build components together. So really we've got the smaller bits to do as we go through this. So let's just talk through that. The main car body, two parts there, they've been the red was primed with pink first, and then we did a top coat in Humbrol 174. We'll have a look at that in a minute. And the yellow colour is Humbrol Satin 71, which is an enamel colour, so they've been hand painted rather than airbrushed like the red. I did put the lamps on initially, and then found that I kept knocking them off, so they've stayed off for now. We've painted up the dashboard, which is okay, and we've done the seats, which I'm happy with, and the door cards, which I'm happy with. We've chromed the bumpers, and we have chromed the dust caps. I've also chromed the grille surround, but I'm not 100% happy with it. It's not perfect on top, so I might be taking that off and having another go. The wheels have been built up, several parts, and they're ready for painting. These will be white wall wheels, as you can see here. The wheels themselves have been hand painted. Everything's then been varnished in Humbrol clear gloss varnish. We've got the little door handles and bits and pieces there ready to be painted, taken off the sprue and assembled. We've got the bonnet tops there to go on the sides. We've got the firewall there with the fuel tank in, ready to be painted up. Fuel tank is not finished. And then over here we've got the radiator, we've got the backlight assembly with the number plate. All these photo etch bits still to be done, so bits for the seats, the radiator, the steering wheel, straps for the suitcases. And then up here we've got gear stick, steering wheel rod, handbrake, indicator flappers, tail lights. That's the brace for above the engine for the between the firewall and the radiator, and as is that steering wheel, obviously. That's the rack for the suitcases. Then we've got small parts in there, pedals, rear view mirror, that sort of thing. Some of the tools that go under the bonnet in this car. What else? I think that is it for now. So that's where we're up to. In update 3, I hope to be assembling the car in the main and getting it to a point where we can weather it. If I do any weathering, I'm going to film it and save that for update 4, which will then lead into it'll be weathering and the final reveal. I'm going to paint the carpet in there chocolate brown, which I think will contrast nicely with that, and I have seen one photograph where that seemed to be the case, so that's great. We haven't done anything more on the chassis since you last looked, so let's have a quick look at the products we've used. So these are all the products I've used during this next stage of the build. The 3 paints involved, Humbrol acrylics 174 and 62 for the leather, and then the enamel is satin 71 for the cream on the exterior of the car. We've used satin coat and matte coat for clear coating the door cards and the seats. We used the pink primer under the red, and we've used the clear gloss varnish through the airbrush, 3 coats to get everything nice and shiny. So that's what we've used in this build. The adhesive that we're using is Tamiya's extra thin quick setting, and we've used Humbrol acrylic or enamel thinners as required. And that is it so far. So that's it for the second update. That's where I'm up to. Next week there'll be another update when hopefully this will look a lot more like a car, and we'll take you through putting this together and getting it ready for weathering and a final reveal at the end of the month. Until then, take care everyone, enjoy your modelling, and I will see you very soon.